So I have to preface this story a bit. I've been re-recording this multiple times because I want to make it acceptable for YouTube, but I also want to keep the impact of this story of what happened the same. And that's very hard because YouTube, well, the YouTube bots and probably manual reviews tend to just go, "Oh yeah, like you said this word, this is wrong. Like we can't have you saying that." Or because this one touches a little bit on doing something on, well, getting close to doing something extreme, and it also uses words in a rather derogatory fashion. And I'm just going to say this now. If this is not something you wanted to listen to at this time, I'm sorry. I will have something else, maybe tomorrow at the time of this recording. I don't know, but I wanted to get this story out there because it's something that's been on my mind, and I feel I should definitely try to share it with as many people as possible. So, this was around when I was 10 or 11 years old. I was in the fifth grade of elementary school, however the heck you say it. And I would say it was around spring, summer time when this happened. So, tip, and I like to title this story "The Labels." So I guess so. Essentially, in the fifth grade, things went pretty normal, at least as normal as for me as can go. And as a bit of context, I have no idea what various words mean because I never been in that situation before, and I never had that explained to me. And I never even found out about this stuff until I was roughly 21 years old. Anyway, so typical day in fifth grade, and we essentially get a new student in our classroom, which is honestly typical. And this guy is, well, he's like he comes off as this, I'm the cool guy, I'm the new kid, I'm the cool guy. Typical elementary school new kid cool guy aura. Like everybody wants to be his friend and all that, which that tends to go. That's how things tend to go. I guess. So so with him being like the newest student in the class, it only took a couple of weeks. I would say around springtime during recess that this new kid, who I shall not name, because who knows, maybe that guy's actually listening, or one of his friends is listening. This guy basically calls me out during recess, which, if you don't know what recess is like activity time for kids to go outside and just play. It's not like phys ed, but I believe it eventually recess got dissolved into phys ed or PE, because they're like, oh well, kids don't need recess. Recess is not supposed to be fun and stuff like that. Who knows what the reasoning is? I do know that after the fifth grade, there was never anything called recess ever again for us. So during recess, while we're playing whatever, the new kid. I can't even remember what the heck we were playing, but somehow, due to maybe I was posed a certain way, or he looked at me the wrong way, but he looked at me and just like pointed in absolute disgust and said, "Ew, Brandon's gay!" And the moment he said that, everyone around me, except for the girls, put distance between me, and themselves. It's like, if you thought, like, honestly, if you thought social distancing was a thing, this was true social distancing. Everyone just got away from me as fast as possible, as if I was carrying the plague. So the thing is, like, I have zero idea. I had zero idea what gay meant. I didn't know at all, because, I mean, because, like, I'm a 10, 11-year-old kid. How am I supposed to know? And I don't, like, I can imagine some people being like, "Oh, like, your parents never told you," which is exactly what popped up later. And as days went on, they're like, "No one ever taught you the birds and the bees?" And I'm like, "No, why would they?" And I'm like, "No, why would they?" And I even asked my parents about it, and they just said, "No, we're not teaching you because I'm not old enough." Which, to me, that made sense. Like, why should I bother even learning about that when it's not being taught? I mean, yeah, it's like, well, maybe in this day and age, it's probably taught at such an early age. And I do know, like, oh, like, yeah, that stuff is in the Bible. So people that are raised on the Bible would likely know, or maybe not. Who knows? But I had zero idea. And and the only definition I had for gay at the time, which was the only definition listed in the dictionaries I had, was that gay meant happy. The well, the other version of it, the version that we know now and essentially have established as that word, it was not listed in any dictionary I had. So essentially asking this new kid who supposedly knows everything and basically has the entire, let's just say half the class following his every lead, waiting on him at his beck and call, while they're basically keeping their social distancing away from me. I'm like, what the heck does it mean? Like, it means that you like to kiss boys. Or no, first he said, oh, it means that. Actually, no, he said, yeah, you like to kiss boys. And I'm like, okay, so that means kissing your dad? No, you kiss boys. So my grandpa? No, you kiss boys. My uncle? No, you kiss boys. And that's how it kept going. Because I don't think he knew either. Because that was his way of explaining it as, oh, well, you like to kiss boys. Or you just kiss boys. Like that essentially was his entire his entire definition. And this just kept going on for weeks and weeks and weeks, to where every action I did, everything I did was essentially considered being gay or like homosexual or whatever. And this was all according to his dad. That's like, oh, like my dad's a former football player and he knows everything about this. And so basically every action I took was gay. Here's the examples I can give to you. Sitting down at my desk with my legs crossed. Gay. The way I hold my pencil when writing on a paper. Yep. Yeah. Knowing like having knowledge about Doom and Doom 64, but not having knowledge about Quake. Yeah. The way the way I ran, because I was faster than he was when running laps during phys ed. Well, apparently gay. Owning Beanie Babies. Owning Beanie Babies. Yep. Oh, what? It's like wearing certain colors, which, yeah, which I mean, like wearing certain colors, hanging out with the girls, which, considering that all the boys well, all the guys essentially practice their social distancing. They decide practice social distancing from me. I didn't exactly have much of an option now, did I? Swinging on the swing sets during recess. Yep. Or yeah, so everything, like basically everything I was doing was considered, like, by this guy was considered gay. Like everything I was doing, every action, every thought, like it didn't matter. Like even getting checked out of school early for a doctor's appointment was also in that category. It's so, like, yeah, like looking back on it, yeah, obviously it makes no sense and it's stupid, but here's the thing. We're 10 to 11 years old, maybe 12, depending on who's been held back. But we're we don't know any better. We essentially don't know any better. And as far as things went, being considered that label, being considered the label of gay, at least in that area, was something you didn't want to be because of how everyone acted towards you. Now, of course, the teachers didn't care because the teachers never noticed. And I actually did tell my parents about it. Like, I told my parents about it, and the first general response was, "Well, just call him gay back," which that worked for a day. Cause he's like, "I'm not gay." Because when I said that, he's like, "No, I'm not gay. I'm not." Ah! And then, like, it worked, but then the next day it went back, and he just doubled down on everything that I was doing. It just so yeah, it didn't exactly work, and so and he just kept going. I had no I honestly had no way to stop it, and I didn't know what to do. So I tried to grin and bear it, at least for a while, until I would say late April. I have to add that my parents don't know about this part at all. I was by myself. They don't know. To this day, they don't. Where I also have, I've also been diagnosed with depression, so this was an issue as well, where I was just not having it today. I was just done. I got home, like, I got home to an empty house, and I was utterly defeated and just ready to just go. And this part I have to word carefully so as YouTube doesn't decide to go doesn't decide to, like, age restrict this and everything. I dropped my stuff in the hallway. I walked into the kitchen absolutely depressed. And I saw the knife block and stared at it for a long time. before I pulled out the biggest one I could see in that block. And I was going to Romeo and Juliet and say, you know what? I'm done. It's like people don't care. I'm tired. Like I'm tired of putting myself through this. Fine. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens after this. And I did like I don't know what happened in. I don't know what happened in between that, in between the what felt like an eternity. I'm trying to do that, but I guess some otherworldly force or something, some otherworldly force or something in my mind changed, or I was just too scared to do it to begin with. I don't know. I stopped. And honestly, I was like, this is kind of sharp. And I just need to stop. Like, and I think I said something to myself on the lines of, I don't care if this guy, like, if these people don't like me this much over something so stupid, then I should just stay here and be constantly in their face about it. I don't know. I said something like that to myself on those lines and decided not to go through with it. Now, regardless of that moment, the labeling slash bullying still carried on. And it carried on until like near the last days of school. And this is the only way that it finally stopped. Like, this is the only way that things finally stopped and people finally started having a bit of common sense. See, like, I ended up just walking away, not wanting to deal with anyone anymore because the labeling was starting again. And eventually, the coach for PE saw me and was like, "What's wrong?" And I told her, like, this is what's going on. And he's like, well, God, no. And she's like, what the heck are you doing? Like, she actually told him, like, you don't call people that. And made him apologize. Which, for some reason, that's all it took to get him to stop. That was all it took to get him to stop. Which is very weird, but I'm still affected by it. I'm still affected by the entire event because I still remember it to this day about how those labels essentially destroyed every bit of like social interactions I had for the rest of the fifth grade. Because basically every guy friend at that point was like, we don't want to hang out with you still. But they were more chill about it. But also at the same time, it didn't really seem to matter because, those kids, like, they don't go to the same house they don't go to the same house as I do. Like, they don't live on the military base. Like, they don't live on the military base. They live somewhere off base and like, okay, like, we're never going to see each other again. So I guess it didn't really matter. Especially come middle school, come the following year middle school. We never saw I never saw any of those guys again, to be honest. But it feels like it still hurt for a bit. It still hurt for a bit that just thinking about those labels. Because from that point onward, Basically any other time, it was just like with anyone else, all of those labels turned into jokes where they were trying to get you to say that you're one of those things. Because if you didn't know, up until like what, 2008, 2009, when they did a campaign for it, basically the entire joke was just to get you to say that you're one of those things, even though it's like you're like you didn't want to be one of those things. People still treated you like the plague if you were. But as for that guy, I did see him again once in the 6th grade, but he was in a totally different class from me. And despite the fact that he said hi, I only said hi back and I didn't give him any more attention. But I'm not. But maybe I could try and salvage a bit of this story, this quick story here that I have to butcher because of YouTube. I During 5th grade graduation, because we had this whole 5th grade graduation because elementary school was like, oh, like this is the last grade you're in for elementary school before you go to middle school. Congratulations. Like my parents showed up for the graduation, and this is one of the things that I will never not be grateful for my dad for this, despite everything else. I will always be grateful to dad for this. It's like once I got off stage from the graduation, my dad approached me and asked me, where was the, he asked me, where was that boy that was picking on you? And he didn't say it in the way I said it. He was like, where's that boy? I immediately knew who he was referring to, and I pointed him out. And at that point, my dad just walked over in a kind of casual mode, but also you're about to get it. And and basically it was one of the greatest, like convers I don't know exactly what he said, but it felt like I'm trying to give a good description for it. I want to say it was like Denzel Washington just like giving a person a very like a very threatening speech. Like I didn't hear all the words that he said. But then like his parents came over, like his mom and dad came over and was like, what the heck's going on? And they're like, oh yeah, we're just, like, he's just explaining everything. And it looked like things were about to break into a fight until my mom came in and just like split it up. And I went home with my dad that night, a bit happy that that happened. So, how do I conclude this? Basically, I will say that probably much like how I got this video, well, thumbnail up, that I hope people just don't sit here and scrutinize. People say that words aren't supposed to hurt, but honestly, those did hurt. Those actually hurt a lot.